Hey everybody, today on Rahdo Runs Through, I am counting down my top 100 games of all time, continued. But before we get to the countdown that I've already recorded, folks, I have to stop and ask you a question, because I forgot to ask it until almost the end of recording. We're trying a couple of things today. One, a new presentation format. In the previous entries of this series, I have been taking up about a third of the screen, and then the game I'm talking about is kind of in a little picture-in-picture off to the side, right over there. And there's been a few folks who have said, too much camera motion is making me uncomfortable, I can't see the game. And so today, we're making the whole screen be about the game, and I'm just going to be in a little picture-in-picture. You got to let me know, folks. Watch the previous ones, watch this one, and say down in the comments, what is better? Do you want more of this mug, or do you want more of the game to feature on your screen? So, feedback. And then the other thing is, we are doing a little bit of a behind-the-scenes tour of Jen's and my life on the road today. And as you're about to see, I went into a lot more granular detail than I had meant to. I got carried away, and you have to let me know if it's TMI, too much information, and I should just KISS, keep it simple, stupid, and just give a brief overview, because people have said they want to see a tour of the caravan, and I did not get very far in my tour today, folks. You tell me if it's too much, if you'd like to see a little bit less info. Again, let me know down in the comments. So without further ado, let's continue with what I've already recorded. Hello everybody, as promised, I am in the caravan. You guys are gonna get to see a slice of life, which my wife Jen was not happy about. She said, wait, give me an hour so I can clean everything up. And I'm like, no, honey pie, we are not going to stage the perfect life. We're gonna show people what it's really like living on the road. Actually, where are we right now? We're in a little French town called Conjou, I think, C-O-N-J-U-X, right on the lake of the shores of Lake something or other. She's trying to look.
Yeah, Lac du Bourget.
Lac du Bourget? Actually, you can't quite see it. Let me try and adjust the, there you go. So you can see right out there, there's a little sauna and a beautiful lake and a little island with a tiny little castle on it for tiny little people. We have not been over there. Don't know what's over there. Unfortunately, we did not bring our inflatable kayak on this trip. Otherwise, we would have already gone out there. But anyway, we are just hanging out. It is Sunday morning. Jen is making breakfast. And folks, first of all, for people who just want to know about the games, there's links down in the show notes. You can use the scrub bar, go right to the entry, but I'm just going to be talking about some basic quality of life. Jen's literally making breakfast right now, so let me go on ahead and turn the camera around. But if you want to jump ahead, you can go on ahead and skip to number 70. Oh, all the way. Before I do that, folks, if you're jumping in, if YouTube served this up and you haven't seen numbers 100 to 71, because we're at today we're doing 70 to 61, there's a link down in the show notes for a playlist of all the games I've talked about and all the games I will talk about as we continue to record stuff on the show, or on the road, the show on the road. Anyway though, so this is going to be tricky. Actually, Jen is in the process of cooking some delicious bacon. Oh my goodness, that smells so good. And it looks just like American bacon, which is very, very hard to find in Europe. Because American bacon apparently comes from pork bellies. And they don't do that in Europe. But we think this is going to be real proper American bacon or something akin to it. And Jen has just finished chopping up some potatoes. They're going to go in there. But anyway, here's the kitchen. As you can see, there's not much, but it's everything we need. There's the plates from dinner last night. We got some delicious apple pies from a shop. Actually, interesting thing about the plates. We only have 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 knives, 2 spoons, et cetera, for the most part. And the thing is, we try to conserve water on the road because it's a real pain if we run out of water. So actually, we have somewhere in one of these cabinets a bunch of paper plates. We eat off paper plates and then cook them out there. It's a bit wasteful, but it's just the 2 of us. We don't have kids. We think we have a very small carbon footprint for the most part. So we're eating with paper plates, so we don't have to clean these plates and go through a lot of water every single day because we try to conserve water because we drink the water, etc. Anyway, so I think that's enough of an intro. We'll come back to this after I talk about number 70, Woodcraft. And folks, Vladimir Suki is back again. This is his 3rd time on the list, and this is my favorite game of his ever. Although he had a co-designer on this one, new designer Ross Arnold. And as I understand it, Jen just motioned to me, turn the camera around so I can get back to cooking. All right, the bacon don't want to burn the bacon. So anyway, Ross apparently came to Vladimir with the idea for a woodworking game where the dice represent the different trees. You cut down the trees and you've got the dice, and there's 3 different types of wood. But then you can use buzz saws to split your wood up. So if you've got like a green 3, you can use your buzz saw to turn it into 3 1s or a 2 and a 1 or something like that. And you can splice different types of wood together to combine different types of trees, because the different types of wood have different elements and whatnot. That was the core idea that I believe Ross brought to Vladimir. And that was already a really cool idea, and Vladimir liked it so much that the 2 of them worked together to make Vladimir Sushi's greatest design ever, as far as I'm concerned. The first thing Vladimir did is brought in the awesome action wheel from Praga Kaput Regni, which I've already talked about in an earlier entry on this. And here, the wheel is even better than it was in Praga. It represents at any given time 7 different actions you can do, like I was talking about. Manipulating the wood, using the wood to complete projects, all kinds of stuff, upgrading your workshop. And by the way, this is a little fantastical woodland workshop. We're little forest gnomes who are trying to run a successful business, literally putting money into advertising so people know to come to us because we produce the best wood and can work with it to make the finest products. But anyway, every turn, you pick one of the 7 actions you can do it, plus any bonuses that might apply depending on where it is on the big forest buzzsaw. There can be up to 2 bonuses on it, above and below, and one of them can be super powerful if your timing is just right. Then you take that action if you're done, and you move it into the next sector of the buzzsaw, and it becomes a very weak action until the buzzsaw slowly, over time, starts to turn. Like I said, it's the same core idea of Praga Kaput Regni, but taken to another level because there's multiple bonuses, 7 different actions. The combo stuff of here is just absolutely lovely. But then, on top of that, you take this really cool dice thing that Ross came up with. You take Vladimir's maybe greatest invention ever, this dynamic action wheel, and then you add the secret sauce that makes Woodcraft really sing: conveyor belts. Folks, this is not the first time or the last time I will talk about conveyor belts, the greatest mechanism in all of board gaming. But the conveyor belt here represents the jobs you've taken on from the forest denizens. They want you to make wooden toys or wooden furniture or wooden utilities or whatever, utensils, whatever it is. And when you take one of these jobs, which means you have to get the right combinations of wood and the right denominations on your dice by, again, splitting them, cutting them, splicing them, growing new wood, all kinds of things. The longer you take to get the job done, these jobs will start moving on a conveyor belt. And the longer they go on the conveyor belt, that means the more angry your customers are going to get. They'll eventually walk away from you, but the longer it takes, the conveyor belt makes it a very simple, elegant system to show you're getting fewer and fewer diminishing returns on your investment. So managing a conveyor belt of customers' needs while at the same time using the amazing action wheel and this really, really cool dice manipulation. It's more than just changing a 3 to a 6, but changing a 6 into a 3 and 3 1s, but then splicing 2 of those ones with a 2 of a different color and all kinds of just really, really cool stuff. Makes Woodcraft just one of the greats. Number 70 on the list. Okay, and now I got to get back up and we'll see what I show next. Okay, before we go on to number 69, I'm back in the kitchen. The bacon is cooked. We haven't had it yet. Jen's being very patient, but you can see the idea of the paper towels there, or the paper plates that we use for eating off of. Oh, and look at those potatoes. Oh, don't those look delicious? Interesting little cooking tidbit. We, Jen loves cream in her tea. Full fat cream, and it's sometimes hard to figure out what that is in the grocery store because it's in German or French or Dutch or whatever. And recently we were in a French store and we got this and we thought, oh, this is going to be the cream. No, it's sour cream. And Jen has never cooked with sour cream in her life. And what are we going to do with all this stuff? Because she's not putting it in her tea. We got 2 of these things. And so Jen decided to start experimenting with cooking the potatoes and the bacon and the eggs in sour cream. And oh my gosh, it has transformed my wife's cooking. It is amazing. Just this silly little discovery we made while on the road. Oh, and then also, nice bonus, we actually just finished the first of our 2. And the dogs, they have a good life. Because guess what? we've got some excess sour cream. There's the container down there in this. One of the dogs gets to lick this off. One of the dogs gets to lick out because nothing is wasted when you've got a couple of beagles in your life. There is not, there is no food wastage anywhere in this caravan or at home because they always stand ready to recycle anything we have left over. Any molecules of food, as Jen says. So anyway, that was a little bit more, and now I will move back over here. Jen did not fix her hair today, so she does not want to be on camera as we continue on to number 96, Near and Far. This is, I think, my highest ranked pure adventure game on this list. There's some games coming that might be considered adventure, but this one is pure adventure from designer, artist Ryan Lockett, one of my all-time faves. I think, is this my highest ranked game of his? It might be. And this is not the only time he's done this style of game. This is a big, sweeping, narrative-driven adventure game where you play a character and you can play over multiple sessions because the game comes with a big storybook of different locations that we can travel to as we learn more about our characters and stuff like that. It's a really, really excellent narrative storytelling experience. Or you can play it in what's called arcade mode, where every single time you play, you just use cards to have random encounters and whatnot when you're doing the adventuring. But the adventuring is only one part of the game. This is actually two games in one. It is one half worker placement. That's the near part of the game, where we start out in a city moving our one worker that represents us from location to location, from the farm to the market to the mine to the armory. I mean, to the tavern. Stuff. There's no armory, but there's like a place where you can get artifacts. And we're just moving back and forth, slowly building up our provisions before we leave the city and go far, go out and have adventures. And you could spend well over half your game. You could spend the majority of your game in the city because the city could be its own game. It's a very, very satisfying, goods harvesting and conversion game as you're moving around, trying to, move to the place that's the best use for you. But what if your opponent is there first? Well, you could move into their space and duel them, which moves them out. But there's a little bit of dice rolling, or you can wait for them to get out of the way. Jen and I, as a two-player game, just tend to, she's in the way. I'm not going to duel her unless I've got some stuff that will let me do that. And it doesn't really hurt her if I beat her in a duel. It hurts me if I fail, because I've kind of wasted my time. But maybe I'll just wait for her to get out of the way, and then I'll go to the tavern and get what I need to do. And in the meantime, I'll go over to the mine, which I wasn't planning. Anyway, the near part, being in this town, moving back and forth, and trying to leverage all these locations to best effect is already super satisfying. It could be an entire game by itself. But why we're doing everything in the town is to gather up our resources, get allies, get special items, and most importantly, get hearts, the number one resource, because eventually we're going to leave the city. We're going to travel far. And moving from location to location on the map, instead of just staying in the city, but moving around on the map and having adventures, reading story snippets, saving people, exploring, all kinds of stuff, requires a spending of hearts, which is one of the main things we collected. And so you spend hearts to move, and wherever you end up, you're going to have a little, either of, you read from the big book of stories, or you just have a randomly drawn card, depending on what mode you're playing in, and then you got to roll some dice, which is my least favorite part of the game. Quite frankly, these dice are what keep this game out of my top 50, maybe even my top 30 games of all time, because when you do go adventuring, you will be rolling dice, and I'm just not a fan of roll to resolve. Now, the thing is, though, if you want to, you are never going to fail at one of these skill tests or whatever you might run into while you're out exploring, because you can spend those precious hearts to buff up the end result. So, I needed a 6, I only rolled a 2. Okay, spend 4 hearts. Boom, problem solved. But then I've used up all my hearts and I can't keep traveling further and further out. Plus, if I spend those hearts, one of the most valuable things of the hearts is to set up camps out in the wilderness, because eventually I'm going to run out of hearts and I'm going to have to go back to town and then start building up provisions for the next trip. But if while I was out, I have set up camps, which can be a big source of points, they are also a way for me and my opponents to travel further afield faster, because you don't have to spend hearts to travel through camps. You only have to spend hearts to travel through the untrodden tracks and pathways. So you're building up a network that lets you travel farther and farther every time you go out, and then go back to the city, because it's just in one turn you can just instantly get back to the city and then start playing the worker placement game some more before you eventually build up enough to go do the adventuring game. And both games are excellent. The adventuring game could have been a game all on its own. You combine these two things together, and it's maybe the greatest adventure game of all time, minus the dice. Now, I will say, I think it's called the Ember Mines expansion, really improved a lot about this game, including made me much happier about the dice because it replaces the regular dice with special dice. I just use those dice always, whether I'm playing with the expansion or not, because the dice become a little bit more controllable. You can spend bread. Bread becomes more valuable to manipulate the dice. The dice become a 2-6 instead of a 1-6. So there's a bit less luck swinginess. So that bumps it up into the 69s. Without the expansion and that special die, it probably still would be my top 100, but if the die weren't there at all, oh, this game would be even better. But it's a phenomenal game and very, very satisfying and wonderfully written as well. The different characters all have really rich stories that we play through. You basically can play a campaign game, or it's just fun to play as a standalone where we're not revealing the deep, rich backstories of our characters with their special powers and history and all that. We're just playing a one-off using the arcade mode. Also, with the expansion, there's a co-op mode too, which isn't bad. It's not great, but it's good. And occasionally I can imagine playing this as a co-op if I don't want to compete. And then, I don't mind the swingy luck of the dice because, hey, if it goes bad for me, it's going bad for everybody. Long story short, it's a great game. I covered it in a prototype format, in the final format, and the expansion. There's a lot on the channel. There's links down in the show notes for this and everything I'm talking about today. If you want to hear more about these games, folks, you can watch my earlier videos I've done of them. Suffice to say, Near and Far is probably the greatest adventure game of all time to Jen's and my taste, even with the dice, and it comes in at number 69. All right, let's move on. Okay, before we move on to number 68, honestly, folks, I did not think I was going to spend this much time on breakfast. But Jen keeps pointing out, oh, you could mention this, that, and the other, because, we've been doing this life on the road now for combined probably over a year that we have spent living first in America in our big motorhome, and now we've done 50 days, almost 60 days on this trip in this tiny little space. And so Jen's learned a lot of tricks. One is cooking with this stove. This is with, LPG, gas that we cook with. Although it does have one electric burner, but we tend not to use that because in the same way we try to conserve water on the road, we try to conserve electricity. I'll talk about the whole electric setup later. So Jen tends to cook with gas, which can be tricky because it can overheat really quick. So Jen she has a lot of steaming. You can see, let's see, can I put this, she is now steaming. Oh, look at them. Oh my gosh. That smells amazing opening that. But it's really the steam doing half the work. And in fact, she bought this copper plate to kind of distribute the fire from the flame so we don't get hot spots. That's a trick she's learned. There is not much counter space here. So we bought this at a German equivalent of a Walmart, and it fits perfectly to give her more space. The eggs are coming, folks. Let's see, was there something else I was going to point out?
Cooking at the lowest.
Oh yeah, and always cook at the lowest heat possible, but then heat up that copper thing so it's spread out more. My wife is a genius, folks, and I can't tell you how good it smells in here. All right, is there anything else to say about cooking? Well, you can think about it while we move on to number 68, and we do our little dance where Jen is literally crouching under the camera as I turn around. Number 68 on the list, and I can put my camera down so it gets a little bit more stable, is Delta. And now this is a sad entry on the list, quite frankly, sadly, because the publisher of this, Game Brewer, they were one of the casualties of, the COVID worldwide shutdown. They could not survive and they've gone out of business, even though they were one of the best small independent publishers. And this was their greatest design triumph, and it's phenomenal. And if you can get your hands on it, folks, I would suggest doing it because it's not going to be around forever. What is it? This is a multi-use card, deck building, worker placement fusion of a game. Set in kind of a steampunk world where we are scientists, explorers, exploring this mysterious delta that's full of kind of hybrid mechanized creatures that we are, doing research on and, watching in their natural habitat. But we are also spending a lot of time inventing things to help our explorations and doing scientific research. In fact, those are the three things: explore, invent, and research. And every round, what we have is we have a bunch of cards in our hand that represent all the members of our expedition to the Delta, and we're going to play one of those cards. And these cards, like I said, they're multi-use. They represent, different people with different strengths and weaknesses, and we have to assign them to one of those 3 actions. So of course, we should put the engineers on inventing. We should put the scientists on, research, and we should, and the explorers on, the adventurers on exploration. But sometimes when you play these characters, they generate resources, including wild resources. So sometimes I'll have my scientist do the exploring, or I'll have my engineer do the research, because I need because these cards, they do an action, but they also generate stuff, and maybe you'll generate the thing I need, even if I'm not using you to peak efficiency. So I'll end up putting, an engineer over to do a research action. But there's a lot of stuff on these cards besides. They have, the quicker I get there and do a given action, the sooner I will get access to, in each one of the 3 different regions, there are new cards at the end of at the end of a round. We will draft these cards and add them to our deck as we recruit more people. If I get to an area sooner than you with somebody faster than you, I'll get first dibs on those more powerful cards that will come join our expedition. So that's another consideration. My fastest card might not be well suited for the task, but I just want to get them over there because I want to get that card really badly because it fits my overall strategy. So there is just so much that goes into playing these cards into the different action to do and the 3 different actions are very different little mini games, whether we're exploring and trying to get further afield, or whether we're combining stuff and building new inventions and all this kind of stuff. But here's the other thing. The last consideration for where we play our card, they will then get discarded into a bucket of all the cards that explored or researched or invented. And eventually, I will get to claim all the cards from one area. So I might do an action with a card, not because I want them to do that action, but because I want them to go into that particular discard pile, so that when I recall it, that character will combo with this other character that did that action previously. Now, this is an idea that we saw in Alexander Pfister's games, Blackout Hong Kong, which was earlier on my list. I loved it there. I love it here with these amazing multi-use cards. That it just really elevates this game. And also, I should say, this is a fast game too. If I recall correctly, I think we're only going to play 18 cards over the course of the game. So it's quick. We're trying to get as much done as we can. It's got amazing art, a really fun, fanciful world, and just brilliant multi-use card play where we build up our decks. We have these cards. They function as workers that we send to the different worker placement spots, but the stuff they generate there, the actions they do there, the opportunities they give us constantly are in flux. But then once we've used them, they're gone for a while until we can eventually reclaim them, and everything about this game is phenomenal. It's number 68 on the list, and if you can, folks, if you ever run across this, do not delay. If you are like me and Jen and you love fast playing, nice mid-weight perfection Euros, you owe it to yourself to check out Delta, number 68. And, R.I.P. Game Brewer. Man, they had such a bright future. Very, very sad. But let's move on to something happier, number 67. All right, folks. At this point, I'm thinking I'm going to have to rename this episode Cooking with Jen. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it out of the kitchen today. Before we get to 67, Jen wanted to say, we're past the steaming. We're to the crispening part, because Jen likes crispity potatoes to mix in with our crispy bacon and our fried eggs. So if you could smell this, folks, it's amazing. But let's see, I think she said she's run out of cooking hints. So let's just do a quick tour of the kitchen while we're at it. Because you'll notice, hey, there's cabinets and whatnot. Here on the counter, there's our little pitcher of water. It took us a while to find one that was small enough that could fit in the door of our tiny little refrigerator over there for when we're on the road, so it doesn't fall over and spill stuff. We already talked about the cream. There's a beautiful, delicious apple pie we bought. There's Jen's gigantic, when she has tea, she has it in a gigantic mug. As you can see, she does not mess around. And I don't know if Jen's going to be happy about this, but let's open some doors, shall we? You folks are curious. What's in this drawer? Ba-ba. Okay, paper towels. The tea for when we're driving. Some drinking cups. Those are the dogs' eating bowls. So I think you can see. Can you see the paper towels in here? This is where they're stored in here, I think, or are they not?
The paper towels are right up there at the...
Oh, I'm sorry, no, the paper plates.
Oh, no, they're in the other one.
No, they're someplace else. Let's see what we've got. Oh, we've got, we didn't bring any Tupperware, but we've been collecting Tupperware as we go because we're trying all kinds of different ice creams in every town we stop in. And then we keep these as convenient things for, to store leftovers and put them in the fridge. I mean, we're kind of overloaded with them now at this point. Oh, wait, Jen's got something she wants to point out.
No, that's right. I don't want to care. I just want to show
what's that?
My pretty pottery.
Oh, so Jen's got some pottery to show off, folks.
Yep.
All right, but apparently it's hidden in the back?
It's in here.
Yeah, so
this is, we have a couple of nice things because...
for special occasions.
Yeah.
Those are very nice.
These are things that my mom made for us for keeping, the bowls.
Yep. Well, I mean, not to keep them separate. It's so if it's a hot bowl, you wrap this in this, and then you don't burn your hand as you're eating hot soup. But they also keep the things from shattering as they travel. You don't have any use for that mixing bowl. We're not doing any baking on the road. That's just to keep the important bowls safe.
Yeah.
What else is in here, honey pie?
It's also a good everything bowl.
Oh, okay.
So, I know you don't care, but look at this beautiful thing. This was made by a friend of mine. So I've got lots of things that we brought along to remind me of home and friends and loved ones.
And this is a thing that you put your Ben & Jerry's in. We bought this someplace, although we have some of these that Jen's stepmom made as well. But anyway, this is about the only artifact from my childhood. Almost everything from my childhood is gone. But these, I've always been told, we have two of them. These were the GI issue metal mugs that my grandfather used circa World War II. I don't know if that's true. That's what I was told as a child. Is anybody out there? What does it say? This says 3A on it, and the other one says 2F or something like that. I don't know. Or 4B. I don't know if these are actual military issue or not for GIs. Obviously they're metal there, but I treasure these because I had these as a kid. I drank from them, and I still drink them from this day.
And they are unbreakable.
They are unbreakable, so they are good for life on the road, and they keep Jen's more delicate stuff protected. So I think that's it for that cabinet, right? Then I'm gonna move over here. Oh wait, but Jen's getting into it, folks.
No, do you want more, or are you gonna do a cabinet?
We'll come back. Apparently, we're gonna open the microwave next because there's a gaming connection to the microwave. But speaking of gaming, let's actually talk about another game. Number 67, Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. Now, Terraforming Mars does not make my top 100 games of all time. Terraforming Mars is not a game for me and Jen for a bunch of different reasons. But Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition, fixes every single problem I had with Terraforming Mars, which I know is in the top 10 games of all time on Board Game Geek. Not for me and Jen, it's the Ares Expedition. And this does a bunch of stuff. Most importantly, it's really a fusion of, the great... The admittedly fantastic core design of engine building and resource allocation and manipulation gameplay of the original Terraforming Mars, which is a big, heavy, crunchy, and incredibly long game about terraforming the red planet over multiple generations. This game takes that card combo stuff and combines it with the Daisy. Here's something that's very excited about. As you can see, she's our little guard dog there. She's very excited. You might be hearing some more of her. Daisy, it's okay, Daisy. Calm down. I think she probably saw a dog, which is, of course, the greatest danger of all. That's just not. She just wants to go out and meet every dog she sees. Anyway, sorry. So, Terraforming Mars meets Race for the Galaxy. Because every round, this was not Terraforming Mars, each player chooses the action they're going to do, and smart gameplay, just like Race for the Galaxy, is knowing what do you think your opponent's going to do. Because you'll get to do it too. And so you should bear that in mind when you're deciding what you're going to do in a given round. And if anything, Ares Expedition improves on Race for the Galaxy as well. Because after somebody's done an action, they can't do it again for a while. Unlike, Race for the Galaxy, where you can just do the same action over and over again. So you can have even better opportunities to figure out what you think your opponent's going to do next and leverage what they're going to do as well. And so, improving on one of the greatest card games of all time, as far as Jen and I are concerned, combined with one of the greatest engine building games of all time, and fixing all the problems. There's no longer any nasty take that, I can't bring an asteroid down and crush your stuff, or introduce viruses to your, or all the various things you can do. I don't even remember what they all are. I remember mostly the first time I ever had to bring an asteroid down and smash Jen's greenhouse, okay, we're never playing this game again. Also, the game plays in half the time. And also, I did have one complaint about the Ares Expedition when it originally came out, and when I did my run-through of it, I made a suggestion, basically borrowing an idea from Roll for the Galaxy, basically introducing, they already introduced a neutral player when you play solo, and why not bring that neutral player in the two-player game so you can speed the game up even more and fix my last problem with Terraforming Mars, the scaling issue. And the developers took my idea on board and they made it an official rule with the Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition expansion. And so I love it even more. And plus, that expansion is really great too. It increases the player count, whatever. It adds to a bunch of stuff, that's very nice. But also gives you a co-op mode, which is actually very nice. It's a good co-op game as well. Everything about Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition is phenomenal. Oh, the art is also, they didn't go cheap like, Frixilius always does with Terraforming Mars. And they, hired artists and did really, really great art. So it's the best looking Terraforming Mars has ever been. It's the best playing, the fastest playing with the fusion of Race for the Galaxy stuff. And with my own personal little contribution to the game, it is an amazing two-player experience as well. All that combined brings Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition into number 67. On the list. Okay, folks, back to the kitchen, such as it is. We're going to number 66, although, oh, look at this. Isn't that beautiful? I can't tell you how delicious that is going to be. And then we're going to take that bacon and we're going to chop it up and mix it all in with everything. And chef's kiss. This is life on the road. This is pretty much what Jen cooks for breakfast every day, and we never get tired of it. Let's see. And let's see. I was going to go into the microwave next. So let's open it up for the gaming connection I promised. Boop. What the? Witchstone? Are we microwaving? No, we are not. Witchstone just happened to be the perfect size box to fit in this microwave so we can get more storage. Because microwave uses a lot of power. I mentioned earlier, we try to conserve power, so we never use this. This is just another cabinet. But to keep stuff from rattling around in there, the Witchstone box, all my Witchstone stuff is at home in the Witchstone expansion box. So I had the original box, it fit in there perfectly, and I don't even know what's in here. Probably tea, I'd be willing to bet. All right, Jen's going to come and show us, give us a quick tour of what we store in the microwave.
We got tea.
Oh, but not just tea. We have tea, and tea, and tea, and tea, and tea, and tea. Tea and tea, dynamite.
Yep, loads of tea.
Yep, because Jen is a tea. I don't know why actually, wasn't a year ago, weren't your teeth starting to get stained from drinking too much tea, and we noticed that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what'd you do because it's not happening anymore, and your teeth... You switched toothpaste to a whitening toothpaste because she drinks so much tea. She drinks probably a liter of tea every day, and when you drink that much tea, you need a lot of variety. What?
You're showing me.
Oh no! I promised I wouldn't show her, folks. Anyway,
but
wait, there's something else.
Grab my mug.
Oh, the mug, yes.
The mug fits in here.
The mug on travel days. The mug fits in perfectly because you don't want to damage that mug.
Yep.
So that's an important consideration. This becomes a rattle box in here when this thing is driving. So everything fits in like a glove. Thank you, Witchstone. I can't imagine publisher, or was it Hush, originally planned on that, but it is very convenient for us. So, okay, let's move on to number 66 of the list, Aquatica. So here's another engine building game. No, not really. I mean, the engines come pre-built. What is this game? We are members of a society of like Atlanteans type thing, living at the bottom of the ocean, and we have a deck of cards that represent all the people in our kingdom that we can use, and every turn you're going to play a card. And those cards let you do various and sundry things. One of the most important things they let you do is they let you conquer locations, undersea locations. These are a special, different size type of card. And when we grab one of these locations, we take them and we tuck them into our triple layer boards. Everybody's all caught these days about double layer boards. Aquatica has triple layer boards. Because what happens is you tuck these locations into these little slots and slide them up until you get to the first resource. And one of the things we can do is we can harvest things from our locations. The more locations we have, the more tucked cards we have in our board. I think we can have up to 4 or 5 of them. And when we harvest these things, what we do is we slide them further into our board. And I'm sure James is doing a great job of putting on screen right now the act of sliding them in so you can see this. And the thing is, after you've got 2 or 3 locations, you can start combo chaining them. Oh, I do this and that says, hey, slide another thing, and that gives us a bonus and lets us do another thing. And so it's like you've got these little mini engines that we're trying to run and get timed well with each other. But that's just part of the game. The main card we play could get us more locations, or it could let us recruit more people, and we do deck building stuff as well. Or we have objectives we're trying to chase after. after, or we're making progress and all kinds of different things. But the coolest thing about this game is getting those locations, and once you finish the location, you've slid it all the way up where it can't go anymore, you then convert that card into a victory point scoring card, and it goes into and now you've emptied that slot again, and then you can get another location and get it in there and start trying to time perfectly all these location cards. It's just cool. The game has an awesome look to it, and this is just a really unique mechanism, quite unlike anything else I've ever seen. It really makes it stand out. Also, the game has gotten some really great expansion content for it as well. But even just the base game by itself is absolutely phenomenal, and it is just so satisfying to slot those things into place and then plan out how, okay, this one's going to feed that one, and then that one's going to be done, and it's going to score, and then I have room to get the other one that's going to feed the original one. Oh, chef's kiss brilliance is number 66 on the list. Aquatica. Okay, folks, it is getting hot in here. It is a beautiful sunny day, so we've already got sun streaming in through our 2 skylights over there. Plus, this produces a lot of heat. Jen just checked, it's 77 degrees in here, so I've had to drop the sweater and strip down to a Rahdo shirt as we continue our tour of the kitchen. What was that? Oh, so we haven't opened this one yet, right? Okay, so let's see what's in here. I know there's treats and snacks and stuff. That is what this one's all about. And what all do we have in here, honey pie? Right, we've got the eggs, extra eggs. Jen, what do we eat? Like each of us 3 or 4 eggs a day, right?
At least 2 each.
Yeah, at least 2 each, sometimes more, because sometimes she just does eggs for dinner too and whatnot. Anyway, so we have our egg storage here because we've got a lot backed up. And yeah, oh, and by the way, here's when I bought the sour cream, this is what I was supposed to buy. This is the actual cream that we have on hand. But again, that sour cream discovery of mine has changed our lives for the better. And let's see, there's like snacks aplenty in here. Like we haven't even opened this yet. We've had these butter biscuits for a while. They look delicious. We need to be trying these soon. And we got some tuck chips in there. We've actually got some candy we brought from Ireland to give as gifts to people that we meet on the road. Karthik, I'm very sorry. We totally forgot. We had some amazing Irish shortbread that we were going to give you. But Danny, it's coming for you instead when we visit you in Barcelona. And there's some other stuff in here. One thing we've discovered with life on the road, oh my gosh. Europeans love, oh, that's the wrong one. They love, here we go.
Paprika!
Paprika. They put paprika on everything. We actually recently discovered paprika chips on some trip in America, originally.
England.
In England. And we thought, oh, these are really great. They're hard to find in Ireland, though. But they are everywhere. They're ubiquitous. They love paprika. And so Jen has started cooking with paprika now. And we love, I mean, every time we come to a new country, we find like 5 different variations of paprika chips. And so we've got like a couple of them in there. You can see there's some back up in the distance. So potato chips are the ultimate while we drive down the road snack.
We love them, but look at this.
Oh, she recently discovered this particular brand, Brett's. This is a French brand, right?
Yep.
Pesto mozzarella. Everything that we've had of these so far have been phenomenal as well.
But there's more paprika chips up there.
But then there's the other paprika chips, the eggs. Oh, here's the paper plates. So, we go through a couple of these a day. The dogs clean them off thoroughly after we're done, so there is not a morsel left on them, and then we throw them away. Right, what else? Is that peanut butter? What is that?
I think that's my applesauce.
Oh, Jen's got some applesauce that she has not used for anything yet, but she keeps talking about having some applesauce. And, there's like towels in here too, I guess. I don't know what all is in here. But most important, in here, these are just amazing. Although we found paprika ones of these too, of course. Oh, those were phenomenal too. And I'm just going to grab something randomly. Jen loves dried mangoes. So if she's feeling the need for mangoes. So this is the snack spot, this whole cabinet there. And then just an extra paper bag if we ever needed to carry some stuff around. I think that's it for this, right? Okay, then I'm going to move on to number 65 of the list. Back in the sun, and we're talking about Kokopelli. Folks, we are not done with Steffenfeld yet. This is what now, his 3rd entry on the list? Maybe his 4th. I've lost track already, but there's going to be even more stuff coming from him. But what I got to say about Kokopelli is this is by far his most unique design ever. It's unlike anything else he has ever done. And, I often, as a video game designer for years, one of the things that me and my fellow designers would talk about is, what are the verbs? What are the actions players do? What is the verb of this game? And in most board games, and most games in general, the verb is kill. Chess, you're killing other stuff. But we like games where the verb is build, right? That's why we like Euros. We like to create things. Kokopelli is a little different. Kokopelli, if it has a verb, it's celebrate. And I love that. I love the theme of this game, which is set, way back, in North American indigenous tribes when they were a brilliant, thriving society, and they had a lot to celebrate. And so this is a game where every time we play, we get a different combination of cards, and all these cards have such wildly different powers on them. You get a different combo, and these are the cards we're going to be drafting and playing onto our board to represent ongoing celebrations of how good life is. And, you play cards and activate their power. Again, every time you play, you're going to get a different combo of powers, and these cards combine in all kinds of really cool ways. And eventually, you keep playing more cards onto a given bucket of a celebration until that celebration is over. It's filled up, and then the cards go away, and you can start filling up other ones too. And, all of this is to score points by activating these powers and comboing with other cards and all kinds of things. But now here's the cool thing. This is a live and let live game. This is about communal celebration. The board in front of me represents my tribe and the celebrations are going on there, but the board in front of you is available to me. I can play cards to any of the 4 spots on my board, or I can play to the 2 spots of the player to my, or the spot to my player on the left and the spot to my player on my right. But in a 2-player game, No. I can play to the 2 to my left, to the 2 to my right, but in a 2-player game, I can play to the 2 that are on yours when you're sitting opposite me. So I can be adding cards to your celebration. Because I could, you start a celebration, I'd like to continue that. I've got the cards to do it. I'd like to get a benefit off that. So I will add to yours. And you'll say, hey, great, thanks, because that means that celebration is one step being closer to finishing, so I can score it and start another celebration. So this is a game of communal joy and happiness. And every time you play, you are going to get a different combination of powers to find interesting ways that they combine with each other. It's one of Stefan Feld's greatest. It's a really cool, unique game. You can go watch my run through. Again, links for everything down in the show notes. You can see it in action. But there's so much infinite replayability in this game. But again, the joy that is ever present in this game, both in its presentation, which is wonderful and wildly colorful and all that, but the way the combos work and the positive, even though it's a competitive game, there's almost a collaboration to make everybody's life better. And I love it when a game pulls that off, and Stefan Feld did it here with number 65, Kokopelli. Alrighty. Okay, folks, we've finished breakfast. Here's all that remains, and we have 2 puppies that are very interested because now it's time for them to step up to the plate. Gert, here you go. Here you go, Gert. Ah. And Daisy, she's got arthritis in the shoulder, so it hurts her to jump down from bed, so she gets her licks in bed. Oh, what a lucky pup. And you can see they're going to it. Those are pure paper. We'd love to recycle them, but apparently you can't because they got food waste on them. So they are going to get thrown away, but they will decompose. And the dogs are doing their best to clean them off and make sure we wasted nothing in our breakfast. Okay, so they're going to keep working on what else was next? Okay, so we did all of these cabinets and we did the microwave. So there's down below because today is all about the kitchen. That was not my original plan. Okay, Honey Pie, what are we doing? Okay, we're talking about that space down there. Hoi-ya! So first of all, this used to have a big cabinet door. And after we bought this caravan, the first thing we did is we removed that cabinet door so we can just have instant access to all this space because there's just not much space for opening and closing doors. And the nice thing is we have all our shoes on this little shelf down here because, as you can see, I've got my gigantic sandals right there, but just having a big stack of shoes by the front door, we don't have much room. So we have a nice little cubby, and there's the dog's no-spill water bowl, so they're always well taken care of. So we've got that space down there for shoe storage and what have you. And then we've got this space up here. This is all the dog stuff. This is their dog food. We've got another, 20 pounds of it in the bay in front. We'll do outdoor stuff on another day. But we have food in here. We've got accessories for them. I don't even know what all is in this. A ton of stuff.
Anything we might need.
Anything and everything they might need. It feels like sometimes they've got more stuff on the road than we do. And in between, here's the rapidly accessible dog poop bags, because you got to be able to open the door, reach in, and grab one when the dogs decide, hey, I know, here's something you weren't planning for. And yeah, oh, and then there's also back there a bag of hats and earmuffs and scarves and stuff that if we're going out and it's cold, we can basically open the door and reach in and grab them in that bag right there, because it's all about convenience. Oh, and then we have a nice little garbage can, which is actually pretty nicely done. It opens up and we have the extra garbage bags in there, and we also have the poop scraper if we end up stepping in poop. And oh man, I stepped in a big pile of bleep the other day, and it took quite a bit to clean off, and the poop scraper is cleaned and ready to go again down there. Again, when you open the door, you just have instant access to that garbage can. Oh, okay. So let's talk about another game, and I'll get back comfortable. And Jen is going to, she is throwing away the paper towels right now while I talk about, where are we? Number 64, Subdivision. Oh man. I'm not done talking about tile layers, folks. If you watched the last one, it was all tile layers all the time, but I've got even more tile layers to enthuse about. This is a sequel to Suburbia, although it was from a different designer, Lucas Hodgkin, something like that. I'm sorry. James does a great job, folks. Go check out his channel if you haven't already. That board game show. He's editing all this together for me. He has put Lucas's name somewhere on screen to give credit where credit is due. This is a wonderful SimCity style building game. I liken it to, if Subdivision, also from publisher Bezier Games and designer Ted Alspach, a very popular, well-loved SimCity game. If that's about building an entire borough, an entire district, Subdivision is about building one tile in the entire game of Subdivision, because we're focusing just on, specific residential districts and education and stuff like that. And, it's a hex tile layer, or you're trying to get the right things next to each other based on objectives we've got in a given game. And it's all driven by, Seven Wonders style closed hand drafting. I've got these tiles. I'm going to take one for myself, either use it to build or discard it to get other powers. Got to be careful about what I'm using, because I'm giving the rest to Jen, and I know I'm going to see some of them back, but not all of them. So all that kind of drafting is here, and it works really great, as it almost always does. But none of this is what makes the game special. This game would not be in my top 100 based on these things, even though they're all done really well. Oh, also the game has a great thematic variant where the game comes with like 20 different thematic presets to say, oh, you're building this type of neighborhood or that type of neighborhood. So you set up the board ahead of time in specific ways. And that's a really, really cool thing too. But again, none of these put in the top 10. What puts in the top 10 is the die. At the beginning of every round, we roll this administration permit die that says what the local government will let us build, and what type of tile. And then Jen handed me some tiles. I'm going to build one of these, but the die says what I can build. Now I can build it wherever I want, but oh crap, I really want to do a green tile right now. I really want to do a road tile. I really want to do a home tile, and I can't do it right now. Right now I have to do an education tile, a school tile. I'm like, what am I going to do? Okay, well, I guess I'll follow what the die says, even if it's not, and I'll kind of pivot, or I will break the rules. I'll literally say, I'm not going to do it, and you end up having to pay resources to get around it, and those are finite resources that you need for other stuff. This incredibly tough, restrictive element that hits everybody equally, because it's kind of bingo style. Everybody has to respond to what that die says we can do this round. And sometimes it'll let you do exactly what you want. Usually it won't. And you just have to wait for the die to give you what you need and hope you've got access to the tiles you need at that time. And this creates a much more tactical puzzle than what you normally see. And I love that. I love a game that puts me through the ringer and makes me make tough compromises. I know what I want to do, but here's what I can do. How am I going to square that circle and come out on top? And that's what really elevates this game. I'm sorry, this is an older run through, so for folks who have a hard time with the shaky cam, it might be tough to go and watch the video, but I still think it's one of the greatest tile laying games of all time. Lucas, you knocked it out of the park. This is something I will always keep. I don't have Subdivision anymore, which is blasphemy for some because it's so beloved, but for my money, or I'm sorry, I don't have Suburbia anymore, but I was able to get rid of it because I had the even better game, Subdivision, which is number 64 on the list already. Okay, continuing with the our life on the road as it relates to food and water. Right, before we go on to the 63, done. We're just now cooling everything down. That, as you might imagine, is super hot to the touch. So we're just letting it cool down, and the pan is off to the side. We didn't mention these before when we did the quick tour. Look at these cute little birdies. We picked these up. Where did we pick them up? In some little, was it a German town? It was a German town. I remember that.
I think it might have still been the Netherlands.
Or it might have been in the Netherlands. We were just walking through this old historic medieval town, and we walked by this one house that had dozens of these in their window, and we looked close and saw, oh, they have price stickers on them. And the house just belonged to some artisans that were just using their windows in this medieval town to be a storefront. And Jim's like, I'm not sure what we're supposed to do. It's a Sunday. And she just went up. I don't know why. She didn't knock on their front door. She went around to the back of their house and knocked on their back door to their kitchen. And they were like very confused and came and said, and they didn't speak any English. But Jen said, I'd like to buy these birds. And we worked it out. And now they watch over us on the road, and they're adorable. And actually, if you're driving behind us on the road, they're two-sided, so people they're keeping an eye on the traffic behind us as well. Although there's other ways we keep an eye on the traffic. We'll have to talk about our traffic camera and a later one when we go outside. Let's see. So I was
going to have you do this.
Yeah. Oh, and Jen also, she was about to refill the pitcher. Remember I mentioned this earlier. You can see, not only is that pitcher perfectly sized to fit in the door of our tiny little, it's so cool. Everything in this is powered. We're not powering this. This can run off power, but it's running off of LPG at the moment. It's got a decent sized freezer. There's some apple ice cream there and some frozen stuff, various and sundry things. The crisper down there. Anyway, this is the space where the pitcher can fit, and this holds it in place so it won't fall over while we're driving. So that was important for it to fit there. But you can also see it was important to fit so that we can fill it. Boop. But wait, fill it. But I was about to run out of water because, folks, I'm going to talk about the power and another thing, but here we turn on the power, and then we turn on the water pump, and now we can refill the pitcher because, our water, we basically just have a big plastic water jug to carry our 50 liters of water with us everywhere we go. Again, I'll show you this on the outside. And it's plastic, so it tastes kind of plasticky. So this little Brita thing does a great job of making the water taste fantastic. And then when we're done, we turn the power back off because it is all about maintaining power. Although, actually, we don't have to worry about it so much today because it's so beautiful and sunny. Look how beautiful and sunny it is that the solar panels, which again, I'll talk about on another thing, we could actually afford to be. We've had like a couple of weeks on the road where there was just no sun. And so we've gotten into the habit of being super power efficient, turning everything off after we're done with it. I've reprogrammed my computer to whenever I turn it off, it doesn't just go into sleep mode, it goes into hibernate mode, stuff like that. But it's really sunny at the moment, so we could probably afford to burn a little bit of power. But it's a good habit. It's a good habit just to, hey, if you're not using it, turn it off. Conserve a little bit of power. It's not going to kill you. Anyway, so what are we moving on to?
Didn't you say we lose about 10% a day if we don't turn it off?
If we leave the power on, which is power for the water pump and the lights and stuff like that, there's just it's standard. There's a parasitic drain. There's always just a little bit of power, and we will probably over a 24-hour period, we'll end up losing like 30% of our house battery. So that's another reason to turn it off. Now, today it doesn't matter because the sun is going to be taking care of everything. But if we're in a gloomy part of the world, it's a good thing to save power. And it's just good in general, right? It's good for the earth. Don't waste power if you don't have to. Living like this has definitely caused us to rethink and pay a lot more attention to our power usage at home and stuff like that too. And we're in the process of trying to figure out getting solar installed because Ireland's government has huge subsidies to incentivize people to install solar. But that's a story for another day because you've waited long enough for number 63, Tzolk'in, the Mayan calendar. The OG board game with spinning cogs. It invented the idea. It's still one of the great. It's not the greatest. There's going to be a game coming later on this that is supplanted Tzolk'in as the greatest cog spinning game. We'll talk about that. Can you guess what it is? Mention it down in the comments if you think you know what's coming. But anyway, Tzolk'in is still amazing. You can see it on screen here, but I think everybody knows about it, right? We were set, in ancient is it Mesoamerican, culture, and it's basically a worker placement game where we put our workers on these cogs, and at the end of every round, the cogs all move one space. And then on future turns, we can put more workers on these cogs, or we can pull our workers off and activate stuff. And you want to keep your workers on the cogs as long as possible, so that when they come off, they will have powered up to do a much bigger action than they would normally do. Here's the thing I didn't realize, whatever it was, 12, 13 years ago, the first time I played Tzolk'in the Mayan calendar. You know what these big cogs are? They're conveyor belts. Conveyor belts are awesome. And because conveyor belts introduce the idea of time passing and using that as a resource and, trying to, bend it to your will and get the most out of you can. And Tzolk'in the Mayan calendar is still, to this day, an amazing design. One of the greatest worker placement games of all time because it does this so well. Not my favorite big, gigantic cog spinning game, but still one of the greats. And man, if you go onto Board Game Geek and go into the images section, James, I don't know if you could throw a couple of these on screen. It is amazing how beautiful this game can be once players paint their cogs. I assume James is throwing some on screen. This is something I definitely want to get done someday because I'll never get rid of Tzolk'in the Mayan calendar. It is absolutely amazing. It's also one of Jen's favorites. It's probably in her top 10 or top 20 of all time. It's in my number 63, an absolutely amazing design. Tzolk'in the Mayan calendar. All right, folks, our tour of the kitchen is coming to a close, but I've still got a few more drawers to open up. So let's look. Actually, first of all, let's look at this one. This is just, you'd guess what's in here, right? It's cutlery. Doesn't open very far, but Jen did a great job of finding, no, this one's built in, isn't it? We didn't have to find a divider for it. But it's knives. It's this thing, rather than using matches to light the fire. And this is a rechargeable thing too, so that's very, very handy. We picked this up on the road because what was happening? You were tired of using matches or you had some other device to start the fires? Oh, right. This has a clicker, right? But it doesn't work as reliably. Oh, because to turn on the clickers, click, 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 so it'll start the fire, we have to turn on the power, right? So we don't have to turn on the power. We can just use this thing that we can charge, and you only have to charge this like once every couple of weeks. And again, there's the 2 spoons we've got and several knives, and, we are going to have to clean the cutlery. Oh, I'm a liar. We have 4. We have 4 forks. I thought we only had 2.
Well, I don't want to make you feel like you've got too much.
Yeah, we don't have to sacrifice too much. We are living large. This is, I'm assuming, a little funnel. And, here's a thing to put stuff on while you're cooking if you don't want to grease up things. And Jen actually made this. I didn't know that. It's glass. Right, and potato chip bag clipper, obviously. And, and some, just other bits and bobs. And then below it, what's in here? Spices. Paprika, of course, our new favorite spice. And cinnamon and salt, sea salt and onion and, onion, dehydrated stuff. A bunch of bags, to put stuff in the fridge because we eat everything. There's the replacement Brita filter, which I think we do need. This isn't working as well as it did originally. I think it's time to probably replace it with the backup filter. These are the eggs, Jen. You remember I showed you eggs up there, but those are hard to get to. These are the easy ones to get to. And is this still that duck fat? Do we still have some of that duck fat? No, this is coconut oil. And some soup. And then below all that, the cleaning supplies. Which, if you need them, they just all come. Right there is where Jen keeps that, this sink cover. So instead of a sink, she's got a food prep area if she needs it at the ready. And then here is our cleaning supplies, such as they are. These are enzymatic cleaners. The main thing we need it for is sometimes the dogs have accidents. They're both getting to be old girls, so this stuff, you spray it on, and the enzymes eat away all the stuff. So we've got a couple different things of that, and an IKEA bag that we keep in here. We actually have several of these. They are super duper handy in lots of different ways. And and I think that's it for that. Right? Did I miss anything? No. Then we're moving on to number 62, folks. What is it? It is Keyflower. Now, the Keydom series is a very well-loved and respected series of Euros that has been coming out for probably over 20 years now. And of all of them, I've played almost every single one. Have I played Cathedral? I'm not sure. But I haven't played the new one that's come out, although I did pick it up at SNSPL, so I'm looking forward to Quayside. Can't wait to try that. But to date, I think Keyflower is one of the greatest. And it used to be in my top 10 games of all time. Now, of course, this is, I mean, if you haven't watched the original, the numbers 191, you can go back and watch that, and I explain why my list has changed so radically and why something like Keyflower, which used to be in my top 10, is now in my top 60. I'll tell you right now, I love everything about this game except its length. Back in the day, Jen and I were much more accommodating to 2.5 hour long games, just the two of us playing. But these days we need quicker things, like some of the stuff I talked about earlier in this very list. But Keyflower, in spite of the fact that it's one of the longest playing games that we own, we still love it, and the gameplay is so good, it still deserves a place in my top 100. It is a brilliant fusion of worker placement and auctions, because every round, a whole bunch of colored meeples randomly grabbed come in on boats. Players draft to get the boats. These are the meeples I'm going to have to do worker placement for this round as I try to build my colony in the new key world. So I can use those workers to put on the tiles I've gotten in previous rounds to activate them, to harvest resources and transport those resources around and score points in various and sundry ways. But those meeples have a different use. They're multi-use meeples. Instead of using them to activate tiles, I can use them. There's a bunch of tiles out in the common display, and I want to get those tiles and add them to my own colony. So I can use the meeples to bid on the tiles that are out there, which means I'm never going to get to use them to do stuff. I'm using them to be able to grab them. And if I outbid Jen, because, we go through a round of bidding / worker placement where I could be sending my workers to do stuff, or I could be sending my workers to do stuff on the tiles that are out there, the ones that we're literally live bidding on right now. But if I use those workers to do that action that just came out, Jen might outbid me and end up taking those workers, and I'll say goodbye to them, but I got what I needed out of them, or I will bid to keep that tile so that when it comes to me, those workers come back to me. Because the workers that were used for the bidding, those do not stick around. But don't worry, more workers are going to show up in the next round, and players are going to draft for them and get them. And it's this really incredible economy where every single one of your workers is either a source of money you can use to bid or a worker you can use to do stuff. And that is freaking brilliant. Also, another brilliant thing is right from the very beginning, everybody, every round, a bunch of new tiles come out. The final round, because the rounds are seasonal, so when winter comes out, the tiles that come out aren't random. Everybody was dealt winter tiles as part of setup. And I'm looking at these winter tiles throughout the entire game, trying to build so that, these tiles score points if you achieve certain things, road length or whatever it might be. And so I know I'm going to put this tile out in winter, and I better be ready to win it, because I've been building a society that will score maximum points off of that. And Jen's doing the same thing. And when we get to winter and both of us put out the tiles that we've been playing towards the whole game, we still got to win those tiles in an auction. And it's the same basic idea where if we are using more of our workers to win those tiles, that's less worker placement we can do. This game is just jaw-dropping brilliant. And it's from designer Richard Breeze, who's been there for all the key games. He teamed up with, I can't remember his name. All I can think of now is Richard Breeze's name. Bleasdale. Sebastian Bleasdale was his co-designer. And Richard, go back and work with Sebastian again. Because this is yours and his masterpiece. Although I haven't tried Quayside yet, it looks really good. And that's with you teaming up with Dave Turchi. Maybe I'll be, in fact, I will be covering that in the month of October or the month of November, because the voters voted. People who back the show on Patreon, they get to vote on what I actually cover in my roundups, and they wanted to see Quayside. So Quayside will be coming. But in the meantime, it's got a tough act to follow, because Keyflower is one of the greatest auction games of all time, one of the greatest worker placement games of all time. That makes it one of the greatest games of all time. Number 62, Keyflower. Okay, again, folks, I had no idea this was just going to be nothing but kitchen stuff today. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you want this level of granular detail. I was expecting I was going to have 1 or 2 entries, and that was going to be it for the kitchen, and I was going to get the whole thing done in one day, but that is not how it worked out. But anyway, one more entry. You can see everything is cooled off. Oh, the bacon was very good. Wasn't quite American bacon. It was sliced a little too thin, I think. Otherwise, it could have been a real contender. But still, it was a delicious breakfast. And so Jen's done and everything's cooled down. She's put away all of that stuff. And so, hey, yay, we've got more counter space, which is very, very important. Well, where did it all go? Well, we don't do any baking on the road, folks. So this is just another cabinet for us, for the most part. Actually, there's this little, what do you call it? The broiler in here? which we have used this for some things. You've used this to good effect, but she's still trying to get to hang of it because things will get overcooked or maybe even a little bit burned with the burners on top. But she's getting better at it. She is mastering it slowly but surely. And you can see, there's the pan and, some storage stuff in there. But if we go do the big one, which I don't think we've ever even turned this on, right?
Yeah, we have.
Well, we have. Oh, what are you cooking here?
I don't know.
She can't think of it. So apparently she has cooked some stuff in here. Oh, quiches and whatnot that we warm up.
But, yeah.
So anyway, remember, there's the frying pan. It is now in here. Although I'm learning all kinds of stuff here today as well. Jen just told me, yeah, it's actually a little bit too big. It doesn't quite fit, so she's had to stack it up on these things to squeeze it in here tight. Here is the steaming thing below it. And then, if we ever do get some pizza, we are ready for pizza on the road. Have we? I don't think we've used this yet. Or no, you did use it once. I think you did do pizza one time. So anyway, so that's all of that. So, and this is ready to go. Right, this is packed in tight enough because she's not worried about this handle breaking this because it's tempered glass and all of that. And then we've got a little bit more storage down here. And hey, did you notice the teapot when Jen was making her tea? Well, she's done with it now, so that's where it lives. And here's that copper thing, cool down, cool to the touch, and a chopping block and a saucepan, which... Is there anything important in there? Or?
No.
Right. And I don't even think you have much use for it, but it's down there if we ever need it. It's a cooked soup or whatever.
Yeah, and pasta one time.
Or, yeah, she did do pasta in it one time, apparently. I don't know if you can actually hear her off camera with my little mic right there. But anyway, folks, that's it. We are done talking about this kitchen. Unless you can think of anything else, folks.
Maybe just those red things, because that.
Oh, Jen is a huge fan of these. We only recently, maybe everybody else already knows about these. We love these things because, hey, you can just reach in and it's really hot and pull it out and you don't burn your hands. You don't need to go and find oven mitts. Why hasn't this been a thing for 30 years? Maybe it has been a thing for 30 years and we just didn't know about it, but we recently discovered them and we love them. We have them at home too. Alrighty. Right, and that's that. And it's so hot in here, I took my pants off so you can see they're hanging up. This is just a handy hook we have for when we come in if we just have to hang up purse or coat, or I just take off my pants because it's too hot. This is a handy place to hang things. This is actually a Christmas wreath holder that we've just put in the door to the bathroom as a quick can hang anything. And then we've got other hooks over here. There's Jen's stuff, and we hang the dog leashes down there so you can just open the door and grab the leashes for the dogs if we need them, and that's it. Phew. All right, but we're not talking about games, folks. We're not done. One more. Number 61 on the list is Miyabi. It's another tile layer, folks. I'll never stop talking about tile layers. I love them so much. Anyway, this one is from the great Michael Kiesling. And while Azul is everybody else's greatest Kiesling game of all time, I think Miyabi is his true masterpiece. I think... we'll find out going forward, but I think this is his highest ranked game of... I should have looked at that before I started filming. And it's brilliant. Miyabi actually means elegance. And that is what this game is the very personification of. It is a tile laying game. There's a bunch of tiles out there. They're different shaped polyomino tiles. And we're trying to make a beautiful Japanese style garden. And so on my turn, I'm going to grab one of these tiles. And the tiles have just, garden space, but then they also have little features, flowers or... various and sundry things. So wherever we put it in our area where we're trying to make the garden, the feature, on this little shape or whatever, has to be in the row that's associated with that. So that is an interesting restriction. Whoa, what is going on? A neighbor is pulling in. A huge motorhome has just shown up, and they're looking around thinking that they can squeeze in here because they saw us squeezing in here, but it's Sunday, and like the whole village is using this parking lot as well.
Yep, and it looks like our friend with the trailer is getting ready to go.
Oh.
So.
Oh, well, okay. So that's all very interesting.
Yep.
That's neither here nor there, folks. That has nothing to do with Miyabi, but sometimes stuff happens on the road. Anyway, though. Oh, yeah. So the feature on the tile says what row that section of the tile must be on. And so you can say, okay, well, I got to put this in the middle or the bottom or the top or whatever. But then you're also rotating that feature to be in a certain column, because once you, in a given round, once you put that feature in a column, you can't put anything else in that feature. So as the round goes on, and you're picking up these new tiles, the feature says what row it has to be in, and it also says what column it has to be in, and that section shrinks more and more and more, and the noose gets tighter and tighter, and it gets tougher and tougher to put the right stuff in the right place. So you can score something. So it's a good thing. Yep, and there goes our trailer buddy, making room for the new. Can you see it? Here comes our new buddy, the motorhome. All right, we'll have to go say hi to them after we're done with this, because it's just good to be a good neighbor. Anyway, though. So, it's a really tight, restrictive thing. But the brilliant thing is, you don't only spread out, you can build upwards as well. And getting those features on higher levels by building on top makes them worth more at the end of the game, as you might imagine. So, that's the core of the game. And the core of this game is a pure gateway game that I could teach to anybody and get them hooked on board gaming. But the game comes with, I think, like 5 or 6 different modules that you can mix and match. And they really ratchet up the depth and complexity of this game. So it can become a real hardcore gamer geek, amazing time as well. Or it can be a nice, simple, easy, and Jen and I enjoy it played both ways. Again, this has got to be Kiesling's greatest guy of all time, and it's a real shame. This is from publisher Haba, who are known for making children's games. When I say kids, I mean kids 5 years and younger. That is what Haba does. But for a few years ago, for a brief moment, they experimented with making richer, bigger, more complex games for the whole family to enjoy. And this was one of them. Honga was another, which was also excellent. I can't remember the third one. And I think that was a brief experiment they did, and then they stopped doing it. And it's a real shame, because they, in doing that experiment, they created one of the greatest tile laying games of all time. Number 61 on the list is Miyabi. And phew, that is it, folks. I have made it through another list. We will be back again next week. But like I just said, in number 61, there's a bunch of stuff going on. So we've got to go deal with the exciting adventure the day has in store for us, now that we are very full of belly and you have gotten a very big and in-depth look at just one small portion of this caravan. Now you got to let me know again, folks. Like I said, or no, I haven't said. I'm going to have to record an intro. I'm going to have to record a separate intro for this, because you have to let me know in the comments 2 things. Was this too much? Was this TMI? Would you have rather us just spend 3 minutes on the kitchen and that was it? Or do you want to see that level of depth on the bathroom, on the living room that we're in? There's Jen's knees, there's the pups, on the outside, on our storage, on our car right there. I could do this level of detail on everything, but you let me know if it's too much. And also, we did a switcheroo. In the previous versions, I've already said this up front. I don't need to repeat myself. I'm just going to say goodbye, and thanks for watching. Talk to you later. So long. See you next week. Bye-bye.